Hey guys, this is Mr. V over here doing a book review today for A Man Called Uva by Fredrik Backman. Before I get into my book review, I want you guys to know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, so if you see me looking down, I just have notes, so I try not to give any spoilers away. So, A Man Called Uva by Fredrik Backman. The main premise for this book is a grumpy yet lovable man finds his solitary world turned on its head when a boisterous young family moves in next door. That's about as much as I could say because there's many situations in the book and I don't want to give any of the spoilers away. So that's the main premise for the book, is you're basically following this grumpy old man called Uva. Now, this later got turned into a movie called A Man Called Otto. I have not seen the movie, so there's going to be nothing mentioned about the movie in this book review. So let's get into the book review. So this is a very fun book. It takes place in Norway, as they mentioned kroner for the currency, so that's why you know it takes place in Norway. And it follows the life of Uva, who is this grumpy man. And I just thought that this had a great start. It was just fun right from the start, because you get to know who Uva is immediately. Within the first two chapters, you know who he is. You know that he's this like grumpy man, but that he's also this like the neighborhood watchman stickler, where like he's a type where he's watching the neighborhood at all points, to where if you park in the wrong spot for even 1 minute, he's writing your license plate down and like he's going to try to get you a ticket. And he's just that type of person, and you can see what type of person he is. And you know, it's very fun because we have all either come in contact with this type of person, or we know who this type of person is. That again, not only the grumpy old man, but also the neighborhood stickler and watchman and all that. So he's a very relatable character because we have all either know that character or we have come in contact with that character. So you know, that's a lot of fun. But the author also puts Uva in these very fun situations and funny situations that are very entertaining, that can even make you like laugh at the situation. At the end of the chapter, you're just like shaking your head like in a funny way, like you can't believe something happened. And it's continually fun throughout the whole book, which is great. It's always fun. And you know, I think it is because also it's just like there's a like he builds the character of Uva very well. You not only have the modern day Uva, but there are chapters that are devoted to like young Uva, and like, you know, how he met his wife, what happened, all those things, and like just the young, and it helps develop the character very well, and it builds his character a lot more. So I think that's a lot of fun, and I think it helps the whole book because then the situations build very well, and it helps it because as the author goes throughout the book, he adds more characters. Obviously, the family that moved next door, but there's even more characters in that. He doesn't overwhelm you, but he has more characters, and because of that, like all these fun situations just continue. And how these characters, how they get involved in Uva's life, or Uva gets involved in their life, and what happens. And that's why I said like the fun situations happen throughout the book, but what's also great about the characters that he brings into the story are all the characters are very relatable. None of them are like too out there or too crazy that we've never dealt with that type of character. I would say in this book that you probably have dealt with all the type of characters that are in this book, or at least seen these type of characters. So it's like, that's why none of them are out of place. And because of that, the whole story just blends very well. Like the whole thing just blends together very well. And because it's blending together so well and there's great situations, you don't want the story to end. And that's always a great thing in my rating, is just like, in my reading, it's like you never want the story to end. And that's always a great thing. Now, as for the characters, you know, I thought the author, he did a good job developing the characters. I said, we've all dealt with these type of characters before, but he did a good job in developing the characters. He didn't do a great job. He didn't go super in depth, but he gave you enough to where you knew who the characters were, and he still did a good job developing them. I want you to know that he gives you enough, like to where you feel you don't need more. But just want, again, he didn't go super in depth with each character. Now, one of the things that I did not like about the book was that he doesn't give a good character description for some of the characters. He just gives you a very minor description, which is kind of odd, because he would give you a great description of the scenery, that where you could just picture the scenery, but he didn't give a great description of the characters. And I like envisioning the characters. I like envisioning all those things. So, you know, just be aware he doesn't do a great job with that. He still develops a character well, but you don't always have a picture of what they look like. So, you know, so you just want to be aware of that aspect. Now, as for the writing style, you know, I thought he did a great job with the writing style, because he just had a very easy, straightforward writing style, yet very, very engaging. That you would just like, all of a sudden, you would just like fly through the chapter, and the chapter would be done, because it was just so engaging when you were reading. And it was just, you'd be reading and then, wow, all of a sudden the chapter's done, but then you'd want to move on to the next chapter immediately. And I think it's also because the author did great chapter length. The chapters weren't too long, but I don't think you wanted the chapters too long. But it made it very easy to just read like 3 or 4 chapters in one sitting and even more. So, I thought that was a great aspect of the book because, again, the author just did a great job writing, but he also had a fun style of writing. And you can see that in the book. He just had a very fun style of writing. One example is at one point, the author keeps going back and forth between a young Uva, like you go to the past, you see a young Uva and things that happened when he was younger, and the current day older Uva. And he keeps every other chapter is young Uva, then older Uva, young Uva. And you want to get to the next chapter because it relates of like, okay, why is Uva currently this way? And then something happened to him in his young years. That's why he's this way. And then he just keeps going back and forth. And it was just a lot of fun because it gave even more depth to the character. So that was a lot of fun for that aspect. And it just, again, the story just blended very well. And overall, this was just a very fun story with very fun situations that made you want to keep reading. So I definitely recommend that you guys read this book. Now, I'm going to give it my official rating. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10. A 0 is an awful book you never want to read. A 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If it gets anywhere near 10, put it on your reading list because I'm a very tough critic. And a 5 is average, and it's hard to move up even 1 point in my rating system if you see my other book reviews. So, A Man Called Uva. I'm going to rate this book an 8.5, which is very high in my rating system. But I'm rating it so high because there were very few negatives to this book. And this was just a very fun, a very easy read that just draws you in and it just captures you. And you just don't want the story to end. You just want it to keep going. And that's why I'm giving it such a high rating. It's just because it was just a great story. And, I definitely recommend you guys go out and read this book. It's a shorter book, so it's very easy to just go and pick up and read it within a few weeks. But I definitely recommend you guys go out and read this book. If you guys have any comments or questions, please post it in the comment section below. I hope you guys click the subscribe button as I always upload multiple different book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.